Well, good morning, everyone, and of course, good afternoon to those that are joining from further afield. Welcome to the latest William Russell webinar, this time entitled, How Can Insurance Brokers Provide More Value for Their Customers? Hopefully, we believe a subject that's dear to your hearts. Before we get going, a very quick introduction. My name is Michael Lewis, Commercial Director here at William Russell, and I'm going to be hosting the session today. I want to thank you before we get going on two fronts. Firstly, your time investment this morning. We know that you're very busy, but the sheer number of brokers that have registered today is really encouraging. So thank you for your time investment this morning. And secondly, and much more generally, thank you for your ongoing support of the William Russell business. It's very much appreciated by everybody here within William Russell. I'm going to be joined today by a couple of other speakers. Our keynote speaker today is Owen Thomas, who is an editor and an award-winning financial journalist with Health and Protection, more than a decade of experience covering the financial services and workplace sectors. And Owen's going to be telling you his thoughts around trends in the intermediary insurance distribution space, what's changing and how brokers are reacting to those changes across the globe. I'm also joined today by Aveen Talabani. Aveen is our Head of Transformation with 15 years of experience in the medical assistance and health insurance space across a number of roles. That's operations, change management and IT. And her contribution today is very much with technology in mind. She'll be sharing with you how she feels technology is impacting brokers and clients alike. As we usually do, there'll be an opportunity for Q&A, so please use the platform to register your questions. And there'll also be a poll that we're undertaking relating to digital strategies and whether or not the pandemic has affected those strategies. So hopefully that's a useful, interesting, dynamic agenda. We'll try and be swift and we welcome your questions later on in the session. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Owen for his piece.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Owen Thomas, Editor of Health and Protection, and I'd like to thank William Russell for inviting me to talk to you today. Michael and the team have asked me to talk about the new trends in insurance distribution and how brokers are reacting. So I did what all good journalists should do and went to talk to some of you and your colleagues and had some very interesting conversations. So I'll relay to you what they told me, and hopefully it might be able to help you, your businesses, and your clients. So here's a quick list of the main points I'll be covering. Ultimately, though, the most important thing of all of this is that you understand your business, how it's operating, and how you want it to operate successfully in the future. And that is tied to knowing your clients, how they work, how they operate, and what they are looking for you from now and in the future, and how you can engage them. So some of the changes or the points I'm going to talk about might work for one firm, but they might not work for your firm. But hopefully they will give you some ideas about how you can develop your business and your relationships. So first of all, unsurprisingly, the last 18 months have had a major impact on business around the world, and obviously affected those that operate internationally even more so. And of course, almost everything has been driven online, even more than it was already 2 years or so ago. The advisors I spoke to emphasise this point above all else. So to start off with, do you have a presence online? A website that is all your own? This may seem a simple thing for me to ask, but in some parts of the financial advice sector, we reckon around a quarter of intermediaries do not have their own website. And that's a conservative estimate. It's probably very highly likely. The drive to remote working may have shifted that a bit, but it's still a remarkable figure. Now, this is probably more relevant for smaller firms, and I appreciate that your business may well be built on strong, long-standing relationships, but the hygiene factor of having a website really is essential today. And then going on to the second point, it should be a freestanding website. Whatever the rights and wrongs of Facebook, very many successful small businesses I know use Facebook as their online base, and there's certainly value in using it to target customers. But as we saw a few weeks ago, when Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram went down for the better part of the day, being confined to just one location has significant continuity of business issues. So be diversified in your online approach. And then conducting business online. Being prepared and able to work online, to support your clients remotely, to keep in touch with them is absolutely critical. But that's not just virtual meetings to replace in-person, well, that's pretty essential as we're obviously seeing today. It needs to go deeper than that. Can your clients find a fact find online? Can they conduct it through your website or through a third party? Can they submit applications or change details online? And can they research information about rules, regulations, and policy details that they will need to know when planning a placement? And can they contact you from wherever they are in the world? All these things are really important to be able to do and to be able to have available through your website. And become a destination resource. Now, you don't need to be able to host all of this yourself, although if you have the time and the resources to do so, it can be great to support your clients. But being able to signpost them to appropriate, authoritative, and authentic locations is a great skill. It makes your website a highly valuable one that people will want to visit regularly and build the strength of your business. And that, in turn, will build the relationships and the value that you have already. And it may even create new ones from people who find your website looking for the resources which you have available. So leading on from that last point, the intermediaries that I speak to tell me that in times of uncertainty, as have been the last 18 months or so, clients want to hear from them more often than before. They want to know how things are progressing. They want to know that you are still there and working for them. And again, with digital technologies, this can be so much easier than before. Many of you may be doing this already, but for those of you who aren't, it's really important to do so. So consider gathering information and then sharing it. So whether it's something like a quarterly newsletter you put together, linking to policy updates from insurers, the latest regulation changes around the world, or directed into articles from the media. Find your own voice and use it as well. So perhaps a comment piece from yourself to let them know your views on how insurers are handling assignments and changes you've been observing to help them. And try to set up regular personal contact, whether it is through virtual meetings such as this, by phone, or even face-to-face where appropriate. Yes, people do still want face-to-face meetings, even though in this virtually dominated world, we all know that nothing can fully replace an in-person meeting when it really makes a difference. And now on to the next. Why is all this contact so important? Because overall, there's a very definite trend that advisors are now having to become consultants. They're not just recommending the best product for the situation, but they're offering a wider and deeper service to meet clients' needs. Some of you may already be treading this path, but for many, it is still a new concept, and I think it's something you're going to start encountering. Pre-placement planning is becoming increasingly important. It's taken far longer to plan and prepare for placements. Many advisors told me that there is no such thing as a simple or a safe placement now. Planning is now becoming forensic, and previously easy, straightforward placements and locations now need far more research and understanding. As a result, advisors are spending far more time with clients before they depart, and that's the business person responsible for managing the assignment and the person who's being sent away. And what this means is you get to understand the needs and responsibilities they have to service. You can understand what the business is trying to achieve, and it may mean that they have greater needs than just a straightforward international medical insurance plan. Perhaps there needs to be a wider health and wellbeing strategy. Maybe it's a change of approach to assignments. But this increasing contact and this deeper contact means you can understand their changing needs, look to the future. And then this can lead on to my last point on this piece, international partners. Several advisors said they were seeing their clients starting to look at employing local nationals rather than sending more staff abroad. Are they required, therefore, or do they want to add healthcare cover to those employees abroad? What do they have in place in that location already? And are you able to help facilitate the appropriate policies and support? If this is just for one or two members of staff, then it's just probably quite straightforward, quite simple. But if they're looking for to grow their business significantly and have quite a large holding in that country, it might be worth you looking to extend to an international partner of sort. This could prove a vital development for your business. And finally, the advisors that I spoke to also gave me some requests for how insurers can help matters. They need to understand the complexity. Adaptability for insurers is essential, and they need to know that there is no such thing as a simple placement anymore. Advisors are adapting to their clients' shifting needs. They need products and provisions from insurers that can adapt and be flexible too. Provider technology needs to be able to meet these needs as well, whether it's policy application and administration, research and pre-planning, making claims, communications, or anything else. Insurer systems need to be developed for this environment. And going down onto the conversations, the intermediaries want to provide to become a trusted source of information. As well, they want to be able to work with them when regulations change and be open and honest. And overall, they want to be able to work closely with insurers on just about everything to provide a more seamless and supportive experience for clients in a very uncertain world. And that means having a strong two-way relationship. So wrapping up the key points that I've run through a bit through this, most importantly of all this is understand your business, your clients, and do what's right for them both, and they should both be successful. Online isn't everything yet, but it is vital. Having a good presence for yourself and your business and being diverse in that approach is really crucial. Talk often and to your clients and build deeper relations with them. And following on from that, become more of a consultant. Understand their businesses, understand their plans for the future. How will it affect the advice you're giving them? How will it affect the service which you're providing to them? And finally, work with insurers to help them understand your and your clients' needs so that they can be supportive and help work in tandem with you to build your businesses. So that's all from me. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the Q&A session afterwards.
So thank you, Owen. Thanks for those really useful insights. Before we get into the tips and suggestions that I mentioned earlier on, I wanted to provide a very quick whistle-stop tour of William Russell and perhaps why we consider ourselves to be different. I'm cognizant that there are a number of new brokers to William Russell on today, but this might also serve as a refresh to those that have worked with us for a number of months and years. We are, or consider ourselves to be, the insurance partner of choice for people living abroad. We are truly global. We've got members in 150 countries, spanning 130 plus nationalities. We see staggeringly high levels of retention in a price-sensitive market. We've been doing this solely for the last 29, almost 30 years. We achieve significant levels of satisfaction. We're privately owned, and we see this as a real positive relative to some of our competitors. We've got 73, approaching 75 focused members of staff, and we're very proud of the individuals and their expertise that work within the business. We have some carefully selected partners, one of which is Allianz, which has significant financial strength. And our people hang around. We maximise their contribution across the business, and 14% of our staff have been with the business for more than 10 years, which I think again is unusual in our space. So why would you recommend us? Well, I think it's because we think differently about international health insurance, quite simply. We want to drive people to the best level of healthcare, not the cheapest. So it's about ensuring that we help members deliver the best private healthcare outcomes. We take cancer very seriously and offer generous benefits accordingly. We call it our cancer promise. We want to keep insurance straightforward and non-complicated. You'll see that hopefully in the way we speak and in all of our communications, even in our product literature. We are absolutely committed to ensuring that premiums remain sustainable and affordable. We don't buy in business or loss lead. That's never been our style, and my commitment to you on this session is that we won't do that moving forward. We have a very sophisticated pricing model that ensures that we have our members paying insurance premiums that are commensurate with where they are purchasing healthcare services. And we have been doing this for 29 years, and I think we've been doing it well. And our commitment to the market is that we want to be in this market space for the next 29 years and beyond. So now it's about you. What can you do to deliver greater levels of value to your clients? I've got 8 suggestions that I'm going to cover in the next few minutes. The first is investing in expertise. I think becoming a subject matter expert is critical in terms of delivering value to your clients. It also generates in them greater levels of confidence, and I think acts as a bedrock for more business. So the first, become an expert in your various subjects. I think the second piece is around understanding your customers. It's very tangible, I believe, when you can invest time in understanding exactly what client requirements are. You can then start to tailor solutions that meet those specific requirements. It leads to better outcomes and indeed better longevity and loyalty. And clients very much like to feel that they are unique and that you're providing solutions that reflect their exact requirements. I think that advice is incredibly powerful. And I think that's why clients ultimately come to brokers, is for the advice, their expertise, and the advice that comes from that expertise. So I believe, having worked in this market for some 25 years, that advice is very much your currency. And where you are a subject matter expert, clients will listen to that advice. So rather than simply point them in the direction, if you truly understand what their requirements are, then advice is a natural outcome from that. Cross-selling, there is an opportunity through taking a very consultative approach for you to benefit from the cross-selling opportunities that clients will provide, but the clients themselves will benefit from that. This is something which is often not optimized in the marketplace. Very few brokers actually get it right, but it is a huge opportunity to them and a huge opportunity for their clients. You're offering them far greater value if you can sell them more that is in alignment, full alignment with their exact requirements. And a good example of this is, we've seen a 40% increase in life insurance policies since the start of the pandemic. Great for the brokers that are actually selling that, but that is a requirement that clearly was there, that probably was not optimized beforehand. So understanding global context is absolutely crucial. I think that there is a real value in service and satisfaction. Price is important, and I get that. I truly get that price is a key driver, but ultimately service and satisfaction will keep your clients with you. So if you are providing solutions where their engagement is wholly positive and their levels of satisfaction are high, they stay with you for far longer. And it's a really strong retention aid for you, which of course is a way for you to create a really good, strong, solid platform for your respective businesses. There's some inherent value in regular contact. We see that as an insurer, and we are very much focused on ensuring that we remain relevant throughout the course of a year by engaging not just with those that are claiming, but those whom aren't claiming. All of our clients are valuable to us in that sense. And I think that there's an opportunity for brokers to follow a similar type of approach. We often see brokers write a piece of business and not re-engage until renewal, but I think that they're possibly missing a trick. So having regular contact with your clients, even if it's just update that might be topical or opportunity to deliver and share thought leadership, is definitely the way forward. Delivering a broader proposition through identifying engaging partners. You heard me speak earlier on about becoming a subject matter expert, and that still is very much valid. But I think the questions you also need to be asking yourself, are there external partners that could help you to provide a much more holistic solution to your clients? And is there additional expertise that you need that you can't provide that will help you deliver solutions that are required by your clients? I also feel that if you're doing this, you identify and engage said partners, it helps you to differentiate against your competitors in your immediate competitive environment. And the final piece, which is a segue into the update from Aveen, is embracing technology. Technology is the future, and I think how members access insurance is often and more increasingly going to be dependent upon levels of technology. So I think as a broker, you've got to get behind this. It's a space that Aveen knows more about than me, but I think my overarching message is make sure that you are at the front end of this, and that you understand it as the technology evolves and develops. So those are my tips and suggestions. I hope that those are useful, and without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Aveen for her much more detailed insights into the developments that we're seeing in the technological space.
Thank you, Michael. So I'd like to start by looking at some of the key customer trends in the industry over the last few years. So 24/7 self-service, customers are increasingly keen to access their policy information, submit and track a claim online without having to speak to somebody. Personalization is an ever-increasing trend, whether that is receiving personalized communications or being able to personalize the products and services around the customer's own needs. If a customer does need to speak to somebody, they expect that person to know them and know where they are in the journey and be able to offer first-time and fast resolution. And finally, customers are looking for additional value they can get out of their policy. So the user experience itself could be rewarding, or the policy could include third-party services or promotions that could offer additional features and incentives to the customer. Now, these types of third-party services are a really quick way of adding value to the insurance proposition as a pay-as-you-go basis, and a really good example of that is the telehealth services. Now, insurance is typically a paper-based industry, so for us to be able to keep up with these trends and evolve with our customers, we have to get digital. What that means is that the data is captured, recorded, and processed electronically as individual data points. And that in turn means that technology solutions can interact with that data in real time. Now, making that shift is more than just a technology implementation, it's also a cultural transformation. Now, the pandemic has undeniably accelerated the cultural shift towards all things digital. The customer trends I was talking about before were seen in specific demographics, but the pandemic forced us all to use technology, and consumer behaviours across all demographics have changed. My parents, who are in their mid-70s, are now using their mobile phones more than I am, something that I couldn't have foreseen a couple of years ago. For a lot of companies, teleworking is now the new norm, and that extends to virtual meetings and conferences. And ironically, the trigger for that was social distancing, but it's actually given us all the opportunity to interact with each other in ways we wouldn't have before. We're all sharing experiences like cats walking across the screen, kids crying in the background, pausing for delivery drivers, and so on. That said, teleworking is something that for a lot of companies happened overnight, and because of that there is a heightened risk of cyber attacks, and while companies effectively set up the right infrastructure and security to handle company data. Unsurprisingly, there's also been an increase in the frequency and the sophistication of fraudulent claims. Now, digitizing our products and services is necessary to keep up with customer trends, but it's also an effective way to mitigate risk. So what does that mean for us in the insurance industry? Well, the good news is an increase in the demand for health, life insurance, and even event insurance products. And that's partly due to an increased awareness of health and mortality risks in the face of the pandemic. That does, however, come with the expectation that those products are flexible, they're competitively priced, they're conveniently accessed, and come with a range of third-party services, whether that's access to a virtual doctor or third-party applications that help a customer manage their health and lifestyle holistically. Now, digitally enabling the sales force is an absolute must. We have to be able to issue, generate quotes, and access useful insights about our customers seamlessly. Giving brokers tools such as a digital product means that you as a broker can tailor the product around your customers' needs. Additional tools such as digital and dynamic underwriting application forms also play an important role in empowering you. It means you can effectively focus on advising and guiding your customer through the end-to-end sales journey and finalize it all in a single meeting. Now, on the operational side, the pandemic's also accelerated the trend towards digital policy and digital claim processing. Printing, scanning, posting policy documents and claims just isn't something that's easily accessible or convenient anymore. So there's been that real shift to paperless and penless processes. Technology solutions such as artificial intelligence play a really important role for the mitigation of fraud in claims. These types of solutions, they can detect anomalies in the data and suspicious behavior far quicker than we can with the naked eye. Now, these tools and solutions aren't one size fits all. They are necessary to deliver to customer expectations and compete effectively. And I'm going to come on to how you can implement that successfully within your organization. So these are the areas where I believe technology can generate the most value for you as a broker. In terms of growth, consolidating all of your customer data into a single view is really important. That means irrespective of whether the customers come in through a phone call, through email, through social media, or something you've processed for them in the back end, you can see that all in a single view. The data insights you get from that will allow you to effectively build relationships with your customer, know when to step in and give them some additional advice or guidance, or also see where the opportunities may be to cross-sell them products and services. Of course, having that single view of the customer isn't going to feel helpful if the onus is on you to rekey that data in several places. Your knowledge and expertise is where the customer needs you, so that wouldn't be an effective use of your time. There are several ways you can automate that rekeying of the data, and digitizing those inputs is key for that. It effectively means you can set automated workflows and rule engines against those data points. Now, if you have legacy systems and configuring automated workflows or integrating rule engines isn't possible, another way to achieve automation is by looking at robotic process automation, or RPA for short. I'm not going to get into the technical detail of that, but what it effectively means is that you're hiring a virtual person or a bot, and that person is going to do exactly what you've set out for them step by step, day in and day out. All you need to do is provide that bot with a user login, and they will interact with the systems the same way a human would. So you don't need to invest any additional technical integration or technical work into those legacy systems themselves. Now, digitizing the inputs is key for automation and efficiency, and a good example of that is the underwriting process. So if you have a rule engine that sits behind a dynamic questionnaire, you can sit there and go through the whole process with the customer and finalize the sale there and then, unless a response to a question has triggered something in the rule engine that triggers an escalation to the insurer. I know that some of you download data from your insurers and upload them again after you formatted them into your own systems. Again, that isn't a good use of your time if it's happening with multiple insurers and it's happening often. Pick your top insurers and connect to their systems directly using APIs. Again, I'm not going to go into the technical detail, but what that means is that your systems are talking seamlessly in the background and exchanging data the way you've configured them to. If the insurer creates a quote on their side, you'll be able to see that pop up on your side without having to manually rekey or download and import any of the data. Of course, that also means you can set up automation rules and workflows against that information when it comes into your system. So for example, you could trigger a task for yourself to look at it, or you could trigger your system to pop an email to the customer. Now, having these solutions in place allows you to proactively manage risk, negotiate prices, and also bring additional value to your customers. Not only does that build ongoing trust, but you're also eliminating the risk of sensitive data being misplaced by having it in a digital format. Now, that's not to say that you would, but customer perception does play an important part, and we are all aware of the increase in cybercrime. So a customer who submits personal and sensitive data through an authenticated portal is going to be more assured than someone who has to post it to a generic department. Finally, if you deploy a cloud-based solution, it's beneficial for reducing your technology costs and for mitigating fraud. We personally use Microsoft as our cloud provider, and what it means is that we inherit the data and security models that they work so hard on and which is continuously evolving rather than us having to configure our own. So I'd like to summarize by looking at 3 key technology areas where I believe brokers can differentiate in an increasingly digital and competitive landscape. So the first is automate your processes and workflows. It will make you more efficient and free you up to focus on more interesting things. Second thing is digital connectivity to policyholders and prospects. It means you can make the whole process more convenient, intuitive, and accessible for them. Digitally connect to insurers. Not only will that bring you operational efficiencies, but it also means your customer isn't waiting for you to manually refer information to the insurer and wait for a response. It's all happening in real time. As a closing statement, I'd like to say a lot of people fear that technology solutions will replace the human touch, but that's where effective change management comes in and allows you to build and foster a culture of innovation within your organization. I personally see technology as the most powerful way to enhance the human touch because it gives us the tools, the insights, and the time back to focus on the customer and be able to better support them. Thank you.
So thank you, Aveen. Thank you for those really useful insights into the world of technology and the impact it has on our market. That actually concludes the session, but we will now have some time for Q&A. Before we move into Q&A, I want to thank both Aveen and Owen for their contributions. We'll now move into the Q&A.
Okay, so a lot of people have asked this morning whether this session is going to be available as a recorded session in the future. So this is actually being recorded and it will be shared at the end of this session. You'll have access to that and be able to look at it again if you want.
Brilliant, thanks Aveen. Thanks everyone for your time this morning. There are some questions that have come through which we're going to deal with now. So the first one is a nice one, which I'm going to field actually, which was what are the next 5 years for William Russell? How do they look like and what are our plans? And that's a very broad question and I could probably spend another half an hour just talking to you about that. But I think in summary, we're an ambitious company that really wants to achieve some growth. So you know that we've been in this space for nearly 30 years and we want the next 30 years to be even more successful. I think the 4 main areas, the 4 pillars of our focus will be to really embrace technology. That will be a real key focus and we're placing a huge amount of effort and focusing investment in technological platforms that allow us to be better at what we do and to make the customer experience all the better. Naveen shared with you her thoughts about what's generally happening in that space, but there's a particular focus that we have on that here at William Russell. We're looking at additional distribution, so we'll clearly work with the classic channels that we always have done, and that means working with you guys, but we'll also embrace additional distribution channel opportunities as they present themselves. And there's some interesting movement in that particular space. We definitely want to innovate and create exciting propositions for our clients. And again, there's huge focus on how we can evolve and improve our proposition so that we remain relevant and continually fit for for purpose, and that crucially, wherever possible, we're pushing the boundary of innovation with those propositions. And we're also looking to provide greater coverage capability in selected regions across the globe. So we're very much open and alert to opportunities in certain geographies and creating a greater coverage opportunity in those locations. I'm really excited about the potential that we have in this space, and more generally, it's going to be a very interesting 5 years, but we're very much up for seeing where that takes us. So hopefully that answers the question. Anybody want to come and probe further on that, please do pick up the phone or whiz me an email. There was another question which I think is for Aveen. How can brokers stay relevant with consumers using search engines more and more? So Aveen, do you want to field that?
I think that's probably more one for Owain.
Okay. No,
Engine optimization's not more.
No, that's my bad. Owen, sorry.
Yeah, of course. As Aveen just mentioned, SEO is important. I mean, first of all, as I said in my presentation, the main thing is make sure you've got your base online to start. Make sure you've got your own presence, your own website that's independent. There are many guides out for how to do search engine optimization, probably far better, far more capable than me, but make sure that you're ticking all the correct boxes with having your business name, the sort of business that you're doing and the areas that you're covering. If you become a regular site that people visit because you've got that depth of information I was talking about, such as linking to resources and so on, that increases your showing on search engines as well. And something else as well, I said that if you've got social media presence as well, while this isn't super powerful, it can help knock things up. It can help with your brand recognition. If you tie that into your website, that also shows to increasing the brand, increasing the strength of your website when you're searching, or when people are searching for businesses like yourselves. You may wish to consider advertising, but again, these can be really expensive. So if you're thinking of going that way, just bear in mind that the budget will be probably thousands of pounds rather than tens or hundreds of pounds, or whatever the equivalent is in whatever part of the world you happen to be in. So first of all, as I say, make sure you've got your own website, your own presence on the internet, and that it's a strong, good, well-built one. And do a bit of SEO research into what you need to be doing. For that, I'd suggest.
Brilliant. Thank you, Owen. And another question, which is probably related, different but related. How can a small broker get started with technology? Who wants to field that one?
So I think to start with, it's important to know what is taking up a lot of time in terms of processes and resources in the organization. And that's going to be different across companies. So first up, I would map out what is time consuming, what are the repetitive or maybe inefficient tasks where there are lots of handovers or really time consuming elements, and then look at what technology solutions can help resolve those and give people the time and capacity back to do more add value things. So I think the first step is really understanding what is the situation and mapping out those workflows in-house and looking at the number of handovers and time taken to get from one end of the process through to the other.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. If I can add one other thing to that as well, with agreeing with Aveen there, something else you probably want to consider as well is how you want to be engaging with your customers in future, because I know some sort of back office technologies allow further engagement, how you manage your customer bank and so on. And so when you're doing that, I suggest when you're doing that, so sit down, strategy, think about what's taking up your time. It's probably worth doing a bit of a wider strategy, think about where you want your business to go and how you want it to develop along the way, how you want to be engaging customers, and then see what options are there. Do you want something that's going to perhaps feed directly into your website? If people are putting in requesting quotes or so on from there to then pull their information from your website into your customer bank, for example. That could be a facility which is available on some systems, might not be in other systems. That might not be important for you, but have a wider strategy, think as well about your business while you're doing what Aveen was saying.
Yeah, spot on. Thank you, Owen. And I think we've got time for one further question, which I'm going to field. It's how can brokers establish closer contact with customers? And I think the answer to that is pretty much what works best for you. We mentioned earlier on in the session that regularity of contact actually makes a huge amount of sense. If you're moving away from the transactional way of engaging clients into something which is much more consultancy based, much more consultative, then I think that there is an opportunity to engage with them across the year, and therein lies the potential to add real value. And that could be as simple as just picking up the telephone periodically. How are things going? Are you using your plan? Do you have any questions? Or it could be something which is far more structured. It could be regular content. It could be structured. It could be something around thought leadership. It could be a much more robust customer contact strategy. But I think what is very evident is that speaking to customers on a regular basis is going to improve their experience of working with you. It's going to keep them with you as well. And I think everybody is looking for longer client lifetime value. We do as a business, and I'm sure you do as brokers. So I think whatever works best for you, but I think it can start with the simple stuff. It's emails and telephone calls, just to stay in regular contact and build it out from there. And what I will say is that we've got lots of content as a business that we can support you on that. So if you want to be sharing updates with your customers, relevant updates with your customers, then please do come to us, because we have wonderful resources across our business, and we can possibly aid and assist you in that particular way. So hopefully those questions, and thank you for posing those, were useful, and the answers you found useful. I also wanted to come back to you very quickly at the start. I mentioned a poll, and the poll was around, has the pandemic accelerated your digital strategy? Well, 89% of you have said yes. So I think that is very telling, and I think probably evident of a new way in which we will engage and transact moving forward. So again, we will update you further with that and share those poll results with those that have not been able to attend. But that now concludes the webinar. I want to thank Owen as our guest keynote speaker for attending, and also Aveen. Wonderful insights from you both. And thank you all for making time to join us today. We know that you're very busy, so it's highly appreciated you investing the time. Hopefully you found the session useful. Again, any questions, any follow-up that you require, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Many thanks. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.